Welcome to the Catherine and Erin show. I'm sorry Erin couldn't make it today. She has some more sports obligations. And I'm here with attorney Scott Lang, who is also another candidate for mayor.
Hi, Catherine.
Thank you for coming.
Happy to be here.
All right. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, thanks. My my history with New Bedford goes back to 1978, and actually before that, my mom moved here back in 1973. I moved here in 1978 to practice law and begin a family with my wife, Gig. We first became acquainted with New Bedford when, as I said, we would come in and visit my mother for holidays, and we thought it was a terrific city. We were very, very welcome whenever we came to the city, and decided that it would be a great place to bring up our children and raise a family. I also was fortunate enough at that time to meet an individual through mutual friends named John Ixafaris, who was a lawyer in town. And John had the need for an associate at that time, and I decided to, at that time we lived in Washington, D.C., leave Washington, D.C. and come here to New Bedford. I've been here for 27 years. I have been involved in the community for 27 years. My wife and I have been heavily involved with different youth groups and charitable organizations. I've never run for office before. In fact, I never thought I would run for office. But over the last few years, I've found that New Bedford has been on a downward spiral. The quality of life in our city has been going down on a regular basis as a result of several things. One is a rampant crime problem. Our city right now has a sense of lawlessness. I also find that our city is in disrepair. Our streets are pocked with potholes, strewn with trash. Our parks aren't being taken care of. It's not the same city that I came to 27 years ago. It's a city now that makes me think it's going to be very, very difficult to keep our children here or attract families to come and raise their kids. Because of that, I began thinking that perhaps I should run for mayor. I have an extensive background in representing working people. I have an extensive background in law enforcement, having been an assistant district attorney for 12 years. First in the district court in New Bedford and then in the Superior Court in New Bedford. And I decided with the varied background I had, the real experience that I've had living in this community, I could make a contribution to this city. I've been involved in politics over the years. I think I understand the nuances of the city. I think I understand the different community groups and neighborhoods in this city. This spring, I indicated to some people that I was thinking about running, and the Standard Times wrote an article saying that there are many people who are considering a run for mayor, and they named me as one. I received many, many phone calls as a result of that, urging me to run. However, there were other people on that list, and I thought it was fair to those people who were seeking office to wait and see if any of them could forge an alliance with the voters to present a formidable challenge to Mayor Kalis. I waited through the spring into the summer and didn't think that any of them really had the ability to go out and challenge the mayor on the key issues in this city and press a debate, an energetic debate that would allow the voters a choice. As a result, I decided to run. So in the beginning of August, I took out my papers, and I've been running ever since. And I've been running a very, very energetic, fast-paced campaign. I believe that I have a great deal of momentum. I've got a number of very, very good people working with me. I have a tremendous list of volunteers. We have gone about and walked through the neighborhoods, distributing literature, meeting people, finding out what they're thinking about, trying to find out what the best way to turn this city around. The reason I ran for mayor is because I think I can restore pride and respect in this city again. I think I can do it by bringing people together. I think I can do it from working from the neighborhoods up rather than City Hall down. I think I have the real life experience that will be a welcome change to a city that's used to career politicians, used to people who need a job, used to people who say the reason I'm running is to just simply continue to further a resume. I don't need to further a resume. I want to do public service and help the city. And I think that I think that I've gotten a tremendous response in the city. I think there's a real mood in the city for positive change, for starting in the neighborhoods and really addressing the concerns that the people in the city have. And that's where I've been the last 5 weeks now, out in the streets meeting people.
Okay. What could you do about the trash on the sidewalks and the streets to clean it up?
Well, there's trash all over the city. And people say, well, is that because the garbage collection, which is done by ABC, is doing a poor job? I don't think that's the reason there's trash all over the city. I think there's trash all over the city because there's a complete disrespect within the city for the importance to take your trash and put it into some sort of receptacle. Take your trash, don't throw it out your car window, don't let it blow around the front of your yard and then into the street, but rather take care of your, of your own property, or take care of the waste that you generate. I think people have this attitude that, well, if it's in the street, it's not my problem, it's someone else's. But the fact is, it is their problem. So the way I would resolve it is twofold. Number one, rather than have someone roll down their window at a traffic light, throw out their McDonald's bag and drive away, I would hope that we would let people know very, very quickly that if you do that, you're going to be ticketed for littering. That we're not going to tolerate the idea that you do as you care when it comes to affecting other people's lives and the environment that we all live in. So I would expect people to respect the law, which is there are no littering laws. In addition, what I do is form neighborhood cleanup crews and go out and literally clean up the trash in the neighborhood with the aid of the city and also the aids in the neighborhood. And once we're able to do that and establish a regular pattern where people take tremendous pride in the city, I don't think we'll have the trash problem that we do today. I think that Dunkin' Donut cup that's being casually thrown into the street, someone will say to themselves, wait, we just cleaned this street up. Or wait, I know we've got pride in our city now. I know I have respect for my neighbors. I'm going to take this cup, I'm going to take this bag, and I'm going to put it in a trash can rather than into the city streets. The city streets aren't trash cans. The city streets belong to all of us. We all pay taxes. We all live here. We all love this city. And I'm going to make sure that people begin thinking twice before they think of New Bedford as the kind of place that no one gives a damn, so we'll just throw the trash wherever we want. I think it comes down to education. I also think it comes down to enforcement. We've been too lax in enforcing the various city ordinances, the various laws that we have in our city regarding the discarding of trash or the discarding of waste material. So I try and set an example very quickly, working with the neighborhoods, highlighting the blighted areas, getting them cleaned up very, very quickly. But also, it's hard for people to take it seriously when the city government allows the streets and the neighborhoods to erode the way they have. So from City Hall's vantage point, I would try and get into the neighborhoods, working with the city council very, very effectively, trying to pinpoint areas where there are problems with sidewalks, problems with trees, problems with streets, and one by one repair those areas. Whether I have to go out on a Saturday and a Sunday myself in a pickup truck with a truckload of asphalt and plug in a pothole rather than have it sit for 6 months, a year as they do today, if that's what I have to do, I will do. But I'll try and set an example that we're going to take great pride. Taxes have gone up astronomically under this administration, 54%. 54% tax increase. So for every $100 you used to pay, you now pay $154. You multiply that, if you paid $1,000, you now pay $1,540, and on and on and on. We get no services for it. My administration would provide the services that the city needs so that you would feel good about your streets, good about your neighborhoods. You restore that pride, I think someone's going to think twice before they throw that bag of trash out into the middle of the street. So that's how I would try and attack that. Very basic, common sense, common dignity, just decency, but that's how I'd solve that problem. We'll all feel better if we're living in a clean environment.
So you'd put more trash cans on the street?
That's what I love about talking with people about running for mayor. And the answer is, after giving you a five-minute explanation, you boiled it down to, so you'll put more trash cans on the street, and the answer to that, Catherine, is absolutely. And I'll also put every tool I can to the disposal of the neighborhoods, so they take that trash and put it into the trash can. And then I'll make sure the trash cans are emptied on a regular basis. And I'll make sure that we have neighborhood cleanup. So you're absolutely right. And from now on, when someone asks me, what are you going to do, the first thing I'm going to say is the first thing I'm going to do is put more trash cans on the street. So thank you for that great suggestion. And that's what I'll do.
All right.
And that's why I'm going to have a great time being mayor, and everybody in the city is going to love working with City Hall. Because Catherine's going to call me up and say, if I had a trash can on our corner, we wouldn't have half the stuff floating around our street. And I guarantee you, if I have to bring that trash can and put it on your corner myself, you'll get it. It's not going to take 6 months to a year. And when it goes on your corner, the city council will be involved in it as well, so they feel that they're making a real contribution and a realistic contribution to the quality of life in the city.
All right. What do you think about the Home Depot project? Is it good or is it just bad?
Okay.
Idea?
First of all, that's a great way to ask that question, because is it good or bad is really the way most people in the city are thinking about it. If you say to me, is having Home Depot in New Bedford a good or bad thing, I would probably say any major company that wishes to come into New Bedford that will provide good paying jobs with some form of benefits is a good thing for our city. Naturally, we have to think about the different after effects that affect other businesses in the city when you bring in a big box store. But by and large, if you said to me, Scott, I think it makes sense for us to bring a Home Depot into the city, I would say, okay, let's figure out a realistic site for a Home Depot. Where would a Home Depot go that makes some sense, not just for Home Depot, but for our city? Where the back end of this question comes in is, do I favor Home Depot being placed over on at the Fairhaven Mills site, which is one of the last best pieces of property that we have in this city, which is located on the interstate, which is located on the Upper Harbor, which is a very large parcel of land that the city has a major say in. Do I favor a big box store being put on that site? The answer is no. I think that site, there are a lot of more creative ways we can lure business, make that an economic engine, than simply putting a Home Depot there, which may mean that the Dartmouth Home Depot closes, which means that we'll simply take Dartmouth workers, move them over to New Bedford. At a Home Depot, X percent of the workforce, whatever it is, half of them have full-time jobs, X percent have part-time jobs, let's say the other half. Not all of them have benefits. The Home Depot customer is going to drive in off of 195, pull into that parking lot, load up their truck or whatever it might be with whatever they're going to buy, pull right off back onto 195. I don't know that that's an economic engine. I don't think that does anything for our city, quite frankly. Everybody cries out and says, we'd like a Home Depot. Then let me sit down and figure out where the best place for a Home Depot would be. At that site, I'd like to see something far more elaborate, far more constructive than simply a one-stop store in and out. Someone will say, well, maybe they'll put a restaurant there. No, we're still not thinking along the same wavelength. I think with the harbor there, with easy access, there's no reason why we can't strive for much more than that. Here's why I'm running for mayor, and it's as simple as this. I'm tired of New Bedford always being offered the most mediocre of the most mediocre plans. I want New Bedford to begin to get its fair share of tax dollars that we send to both the state and feds. I want New Bedford to get its share of the creative ideas. I want New Bedford to get the growth and development. I want New Bedford to be looked at as a place where people want to come, where people want to place their businesses. Not, this would be a great place to put up a Home Depot. You don't have to worry about anyone complaining about New Bedford's crime or of New Bedford's environment, because they'll only be in the parking lot for 25, 30 minutes and then they'll be gone. I don't want that. I want that to be a lure. I want that to be a magnet, so that we start from there and you move through the North End. The North End has the highest concentration of Portuguese businesses. There's no reason why we can't make that a draw for the entire area, where people come. They enjoy dinner or lunch or breakfast there. They enjoy shopping there. They enjoy the ambience of the area. If the Home Depot site is a place that locates a draw that then moves people into the North End, that's the type of project I want. Now, so the answer is, well, do you know what project that is? If I knew what project that was, quite frankly, I'd probably be certified as a genius. My feeling is I know it's not this one. I know it's got to be something. People have said to me, how about a major outlet, series of stores, outlet-type malls with something along the waterfront, recreational boating along the waterfront, some sort of mixed use with park and commercial business as well, a convention center, a hotel, a stadium, whatever it might be. My feeling is we can do better than a Home Depot. We need that to draw people into the city. We don't need a fixed destination. So that's my opinion on Home Depot. Now, let's look at a real serious question with Home Depot. How did that project come about at all? And was that project one that people who worked for the city ended up benefiting from inside information and ended up getting the development, in essence, the development rights because they were too close to the city, because they were too involved with the administration? And if the answer to that is yes, then obviously we have to look at the whole Home Depot situation in a different light altogether. If I find that the RFP, the request for proposals on that site, was not appropriate, then certainly I'm not going to be talking about Home Depot. I'm going to be talking about putting out another RFP to try and attract different ideas on it. If I'm elected mayor, Home Depot wants to come to New Bedford, I'm simply going to say to them, that's not the site for you. Let's find another site that makes sense. So that's my answer on the Home Depot site.
Okay. What would you do to reduce the crime and the drugs in the city of New Bedford?
Crime, I mentioned, I was an assistant DA for 12 years. So I prosecuted at both the New Bedford District Court and the New Bedford Superior Court. I think I know a great deal about law enforcement because I was involved in law enforcement. I have real experience in law enforcement. I have more real experience in law enforcement than any of the other candidates combined. Mayor Kalis gets his law enforcement by putting on a blue police coat and says, I'm the head of the police. That doesn't give you law enforcement experience. That doesn't make you the head of the department. In theory, he's head of the department, but he unfortunately doesn't have the background or understanding on how you do real policing in the city. Another one of the candidates has been involved in law enforcement, writing grants, studying law enforcement. I'm all for that. I think it's great. But I'm talking about day-to-day experience in law enforcement. I have more than anyone else. My approach to law enforcement is quite simple. In New Bedford, where we have this sense of lawlessness, where we have areas in the city where literally anything goes, my answer to that is that in New Bedford, we're going to follow a zero-tolerance policy, which means that the police will begin to police these particular areas, high-crime areas, as well as, quite frankly, the city, in a way that basically says we expect all our citizens to obey the law. And if you don't obey the law, there's consequences. A law indicates that the speed limit is X amount, that the noise limit is as follows, that the littering is prohibited, that if it says no parking, it means no parking. If it means stopping at a stop sign, it means stopping at a stop sign. Obviously, disturbing the peace is against the law as well, and then all your other crimes that you can name are all prohibited by either state or federal statutes. I expect the police to be out there on a day-to-day basis, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, of enforcing the law. Assuming that we're able to get that type of policing, which I think we can, I think people's attitudes in the city will change very, very quickly. And the people's attitudes that are not going to change in the city, obviously, will find that they will be arrested, either ticketed or arrested, and then they will have to deal with society and the way our justice system works. But there'll be no more of a situation in New Bedford where someone is riding around on one of these little motorcycles that are unlicensed, very dangerous, going to at some point get someone killed, and say to themselves, well, there's nothing I have to worry about because the police aren't going to tell me to stop, the neighbors can't tell me to stop, and I'll do what I want. I'll expect people to abide by the law. I think that will immediately change the attitude in the city. I also think you have to give the police the tools that they need to police in the city. The idea that our detectives go home at 5 o'clock in the afternoon makes no sense. The reason it makes no sense is because I don't know too many criminals that say, I tell you what, after 5 o'clock we won't commit crimes because the detectives aren't around. It's exactly the opposite. We need 24-hour protection in our city. In addition, you need the tools to be able to police in our city. We have laptops in our police cars now that are unable to communicate with either state, federal, or international law enforcement agencies. So in other words, when you make a stop in the streets of New Bedford and you look at that laptop, it shows you the seal of the city of New Bedford. When it boots up, it shows you the seal of the city of New Bedford. The only thing you can reach at that laptop, as of this moment, as we speak today, is a teletype that'll say, go to cable access in the South End. If you want to respond, you can say, I am going. That's it. You can do the same thing with a radio. A heck of a lot safer as you're driving, a heck of a lot more efficiently. Our laptops don't work. When a policeman makes a stop, he has to call into the main station and say, I've just stopped tag number 474 MS3. Can you please tell me whether this car is registered, whether this car is stolen, whether this car is insured, whether the person whose license I just grabbed, John Doe, has a warrant, has any kind of all-points bulletin on him? Can you give me a background on this individual in any way? And the answer is, unless you get a police cadet in the control room who runs over to a stationary computer and types in the information you need and then relays it back to you by radio, you have no information at all. You're flying blind. We have got our officers out there flying blind. It'd be the equivalent of us saying, we'll have our Air Force fly missions for us and not provide them with radar. It's an absolute outrage in any sense that you can come up with. It's very dangerous for the police officers. It's very dangerous for the people that they're stopping. It's very dangerous for our entire community. This has gone on now for 5 or 6 months. It makes no sense at all to say we support the police and not give them the right tools. In addition, how can you close, in the middle of an epidemic that we have in crime, Catherine, how can you close the South End Police Station and the North End Police Station? The very place where you're able to show that law enforcement is present, active, and out in your community. You close both those stations. You draw all your police officers now over to an old grocery store on Rockdale Avenue. The response times to the south end of the city and the north end of the city are way too long. And if there's any traffic out, it's almost impossible to get anywhere in any kind of legitimate period of time. In addition, what you have in the south end of the city is one of the more dangerous, rampant, crime-filled neighborhoods that we have in the entire city, and you pull out the police department. You basically conceded this area of the city to the criminal element. It wasn't right, it makes no sense, and the fact is that police station isn't really closed. It's being used as an office for professional standards by the police department. So basically what you did was pull the police out of that particular building, have people going in and out. You didn't save money on heat, you didn't save money on electricity, you didn't close the place down. You simply tried a deployment of police that makes no sense in the world. The mayor's failed the city on all areas of law enforcement and police activity. In addition, if you want to know the real square of it, the mayor believes he can run the police department. He micromanages the police department. He calls the front desk on a regular basis. Police department is a quasi-military organization. Chain of command is the most important thing in an organization like that. The mayor goes around the chief, goes around the command officers, calls up the front desk and says, put some patrol cars over here, put some patrol cars over there. Let's see how it goes. You can't run a police department like that. No one has respect for anyone when you do it that way. The bottom line, the theory that you see in a police department is a good chief, a good deputy chief, coming up with a good plan, policing neighborhood by neighborhood, not just responding from call to call to call to call. We're always in a situation where we're picking up the bullets. We're picking up the dead. Let's be in a situation where we're actually out there monitoring, gathering information, intervening, policing the area, showing a presence. It's not an after the fact type of a job. It's a protecting the public type of a job, and that's what I'd make sure our police do. In addition, I'd ask the DA to provide us with a district attorney's, assistant district attorney team to help with the police whenever they do an investigation. Too often evidence that the police pick up gets spoiled in the process of retrieving various pieces of evidence. I want our DAs to be involved with the police right at the level of the crime on a regular basis, not just once in a while, cooperating, our police department cooperating with the DA's office so that when we make an arrest, that arrest sticks because we process the evidence correctly, we interview the witnesses appropriately at the appropriate time, and we build a case from the crime scene up to the courthouse. rather than doing the crime scene, trying to bring it to the DA's office, and then trying to build the case and bring it to the courthouse. I want it again. I want everything down to the neighborhood level. I want to have this city so everyone says, I know government is right down at the neighborhood level working up, rather than City Hall disconnected trying to tell the neighbors what to do. So that's how I do policing. There are so many very important issues regarding law enforcement in the city that I'd be happy to come back and go through them in addition to it. There's issue of whether or not the administration goes out and gets the state and federal grants that they could get. They don't. There's issues as to whether or not alcohol, tobacco, and firearms is in here sweeping the city of guns. They're not. There's issues regarding DEA and how much attention they place on New Bedford. I say they should place more. There's questions as to whether or not the Attorney General's office should be here helping to prosecute. I say they should. They're not. Whether the U.S. Attorney's Office should be here helping to prosecute. I say they should. They're not. I would welcome them all in. I would help coordinate a concentrated crime plan so that we can be in a situation here where we literally declare war on crime. What the mayor's doing now is not declaring war on crime. He's declaring war on the police by his divisive ads in the newspaper, indicating that he stood up to the police, he won't give in to their contract demands. That's not what anyone's thinking about right now. What people are thinking about right now is getting the police department squarely centered on the neighborhoods, protecting the neighborhoods, doing their best to do what we hire them for, which is to protect and serve our people. I'm not interested in hearing the mayor try and pump up his image by saying I stood up to the police. In fact, let me say this. If he stood up to the police, if he stood up to the police, the answer simply would be that after the police demonstration at the Century House, when the mayor was out there claiming to raise $160,000 last spring for his campaign slush fund, if the mayor really was standing up to the police, he would have gotten an injunction against them the next morning regarding what he termed to be illegal picket line tactics. He would have disciplined police officers who were unbecoming or who broke the law. Did he do any of that? Absolutely not. What he did was take some pictures, put them in a drawer, and now he pulls them out in a campaign ad. You don't get respect that way. You don't run the police department or any other department that way. If you're trying to make a point regarding an illegal picket line or conduct unbecoming that's hurt the city and hurt the police department, you handle it at that time. You don't handle it by running some political campaign. I'll declare war on crime. I'll work with the police. I'll work with the feds. I'll work with the state government to make sure we get the crime issue resolved.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate very much Catherine asking me on her show today, because what it does is allows me once again to come into the homes of the voters of the city of New Bedford and tell them in as frank language as I can the following. First, I'm not a politician. I want to be a public servant. I'm the kind of person who is going to, what you see is what you get. I am going to be extremely honest. I am going to try and do everything I can to improve this city with your help. I can't do anything without your help. The first thing you can do to help me is by voting for me on October 4th. And allow me to go out and continue to campaign through November to explain why I believe that this city can be a great city once again. The only thing that I can promise you is that I will help restore pride and respect in the city, that I will work with the neighborhoods, that I will listen to you, that I will bring people together, that I will have the city council involved in the governing of the city, that I will not treat the city council as if they are a nuisance or as if they're a body that should not be respected. I also commit to the fact that I will do everything I can to get us the best education system. Not an education system where people settle for it, but rather an education system where each and every day you have pride and you have confidence in the schools that you send your children to. As far as bringing industry in, expanding our tax base, I would say the following, that if we can get our crime problem under control, if we can restore if we can restore pride and respect to our city, we will attract businesses. We will attract businesses who want to come to New Bedford, enjoy our great workforce, enjoy our really best possible location that you can ask for on the East Coast, and expand the base of jobs that we have. People will say, well, it's great. I just heard that Fall River got 600 new high-tech jobs. Isn't that terrific for the area? It's good for the area, but I'd like to be the city that says we got the 600 new high-tech jobs. Let Fall River say it's good for the area. I want it to be good for our city. I'll work to eliminate the crime problem. I'll work to improve our school system. I will do everything I can to attract new industry and jobs to this area. And I will do it in a way that is cooperative, respectful, and always listens to the neighborhoods. And that's why I'm running, and I'd appreciate your vote on October 4th. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Attorney Scott Lang, for coming.
Thanks very much for having me.
We hope to have you again.
All right, and those are great questions, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
All right. So that's all the time we have today. So see you next time on the Catherine and Erin Show.